I'm sorry I told so many people about it. About all I know is, I sort of miss everybody I told about. Even old Stradlater and Ackley, for instance. I think I even miss that goddamn Maurice. It's funny. Don't ever tell anybody anything. If you do, you start missing everybody. And thus concludes Catcher in the Rye by J.D. Salinger. You guys again? Again? We're doing this again? You guys keep showing up? You're some persistent little fucks, aren't you? Alright. Let's do this, I guess. Welcome, everybody, to the Tonto's Demise Week 8 recap. Let's do this. This week... Oh, man, I don't know about you guys, but this week was boring. Yikes. Did anything exciting happen in any matchups this week? No. The answer is no. Especially for Jay. But anyway, it's made me laugh since Sunday because I'm here looking at the Tonto's Demise page on Yahoo where I get my stats. We're currently, take a quick peek here. The Monday night game, again, currently still going on. Looks like there's about 5 minutes left in that game. So I don't think we're not gonna have any matchups that are close enough to be decided this week in the next 5 minutes of game time. So we're able to pop into the recaps here. But I said this week was a yawner. Watching it on Sunday afternoon, like, wait, when is something interesting going to happen? To be perfectly honest, I saw when Michael Pittman scored 2 touchdowns, like right out of the gate in the Colts game. I pretty much put my phone down. I put the Steelers game on and kind of watched it and kind of took a nap. It's like that's how this day is going to be. Then it's already done. Turns out it wasn't quite over after that point. But what is funny to me is that why I say this week was a real yawner is because if you do here, looking at currently at the Yahoo main page here, everybody's projection scores are in red, which means you are underperforming from what you were projected. Everyone except me. I'm in the green. Everybody else is red. Kind of want to screen cap that and maybe make that the picture for this week. Everyone is red except for me, which just goes to show that this week was a real, quiet one. Nobody really blew up. Had some kind of close matchups. Pretty much everything was decided. I think it's safe to say going into Monday night, although Patrick Mahomes and Tyreek Hill, that combination, certainly giving it the old college try, going up against Hillbillies on PCP there. But we are far enough along, I think, that we can get into the recaps here. So, unlike we broke the tradition last week, and we'll stick with it this week, back to normal. We will start with the current defending champion. Oh, I see the Chiefs game is tied up at 17 right now, so maybe there will be some overtime there. So maybe I've spoken too soon. Let's see. Currently, we're standing at Springfield Isotopes versus Shawshank Athletics. Isotopes currently 198.85. They're done. While Shawshank currently has 154.15 with Darrell Williams still in there. Not sure he's going to get you the 45 points you still need in that game, so let's jump into it. Darrell Williams is actually doing pretty good. He's got you 16.5 points. That's a respectable score, but unfortunately too far behind already. For the Isotopes, Stafford goes for there were no long touchdowns this week either. None. The only one that happened was Cooper Rush to what's his name, Cedric Wilson, and nobody cared about that. Very unusual. So not much I had to worry about here this week when tallying up the scores. I was able to do most of it on Sunday night there, not worry about missing anything. So for the Isotopes, Stafford goes for 51.25. Receivers, Robert Woods, T. Higgins, and Deontay, 20.5, 13.5, 15.5, respectively. Approximate scores there. Running backs, Edmonds and MG3. Edmonds just under 16, and Gordon just over 19. 2 touchdowns for Gordon. Finally a touchdown this year for Edmonds, although he fell at one point on his injured shoulder and was like grabbing it in pain, and I was like, oh great, he's done for the next few weeks. Said going to be putting their bye is Cardinals bye is week 12. So thinking to myself, oh great, when I saw that had happened, there he goes until week 13 or whatever. They probably put him on IR, but then he was right back in the game. I don't know. I mean, he made it look like it was pretty serious. So, but I guess it wasn't. And they've got extra rest this week since they played on Thursday night. So crossing my fingers, hopefully that we get Edmonds and Devontae Adams back here coming up. Gesicki, just under 10 points. In the flex, Marvin Jones, 8.5. Folk, the kicker from New England, actually goes for about, I think he went for 16 points. Several field goals, 4 or 5 from him this week. And then Seattle defense at home against Jacksonville did pretty good. Yahoo says 16, but I believe the bump was about an extra 9 or so, I think. So about 25 from Seattle's defense there in a good matchup at home against Jacksonville. They actually had a shutout almost all the way. Seattle got Jacksonville scored a touchdown near the end of that game with only a few minutes left. Would have liked to get that shutout, but they weren't quite able to do it. Fortunately, it did not matter at the end. Let's take a look at Shawshank Athletics. Really thought it's another matchup that I really needed to get a win here, but thought I was for sure that I was going to take a beat down, especially again after Pittman scored 2 touchdowns pretty much right out of the gate on Sunday afternoon there. And Pittman ended up being really the only guy who showed up for you this week. Herbert against New England kind of got what I was hoping for. Only 32 points from him. New England's defense kept him in check there. Cooper Kupp, only 24.5 points from him. Fortunately, Robert Woods was able to kind of keep pace with him, which is basically what I was hoping for again. Yeah, so a lot of things just kind of fell into place this week. Surprising things for Shawshank there. Fortunate things on my end of it. Jamar Chase then, 13.1. Actually, T. Higgins outscored him by half a point. That's not going to happen very many times this year, I think. And then Pittman ended up with 10 catches, 86 yards, 2 touchdowns, 30.5 points for you. He carried the load for Shawshank this week. And then you had Dalvin Cook and Justin Jefferson. Jefferson down in the flex there. Kind of surprised. A quiet game from both of these guys. 7.8 on just rushing stats from Cook. And Jefferson, only 2 catches for 21 yards. So those two guys combined for 11.9, just under 12 points combined between Dalvin Cook and Justin Jefferson. Really a big surprise there for sure. Catching a break for my team this week with those performances. Hunter Henry, your tight end, only 1 catch for 33 yards, 4.3. Kicker Suck Up only kicked a couple extra points this week, 3 of them, 3 points. And then you went with the Washington football team defense. Uh, scared to use the New Orleans defense against Tampa Bay. Going into it, not a bad idea. Looking back at it, terrible idea, as the New Orleans defense really gave it to the Tampa Bay yesterday. Even though Tampa Bay definitely came back and made close to making it a game there till I think Tom Brady threw a pick six. Very unusual for him near the end of the game there to kind of put it totally out of reach. But New Orleans, not exactly sure what their total score would have been, but it definitely was probably more than Washington. Although Washington didn't do too bad. I think 19 is what they actually ended up with. They lost the game, but they had a couple sacks, a turnover, didn't give up a whole lot of points or yardage, so they actually did fairly well. And it's currently Damian Williams, they're down to the 2-minute warning there. Looks like Kansas City is in the red zone. 2 minutes left. Williams currently has 17 points. Yeah, like I said, kind of caught a break this week with Chase not doing a whole lot. Dalvin, Justin Jefferson not doing a whole lot. Herbert, only 32 points from him. So I think Shawshank was the highest scoring, even though he was 3 and 4. Shawshank 1350. Yeah, highest scoring team. No, 1364. Sorry, looking at the points against there. My bad. 1364. Yeah, highest scoring team. Well, highest scored against and one of the highest scoring teams in the league. The highest scoring team in the league so far this year. So, like I said, was not optimistic about this matchup, but catching a break this week and gonna jump up in the standings here, getting a victory over Shawshank Athletics. Like I said, he needed about 60 points from Darrell Williams. Just wasn't going to happen, not in the cards this week. So, with this victory, the Springfield Isotopes will move to 4 and 4, and the Shawshank Athletics said despite probably won't be the highest scoring team in the league anymore after this week, you'll still be pretty close, I think, because nobody is going to crack 200 this week. Looks like the Topes are actually going to be the closest. No one else is going to even... said Yinzer Jags barely cracking 180. So it was a down week for everyone this week. So let's see. Shawshank said probably will not be the highest scoring team in the league anymore, but it'll still be fairly close. But yeah, you were going to drop to 3 and 5. Just some unfortunate luck here going for Shawshank Athletics as we get into the meat of the season here. The way things, we'll talk about the standings, but we'll do that after we get through all the matchups here. All right, let's see if anything has changed. Nope, Darrell Williams still at 17. All right, so yeah, Isotopes will move up to 4 and 4, back to 500, and Shawshank is going to drop to 3 and 5. Another matchup that was already decided going into Monday night, we got Possum Magic versus CMC Music Factory. CMC kind of squeaking out some wins here, getting a little lucky these past few weeks, I think. But luck was not on his side this week. A battle of two teams at 4 and 3. One of you going for win number 5. One of you going to bounce back to 500. And this week it is Possum Magic getting the victory. 168.35 to 126.6 for CMC. All right, let's take a look at what we got for the winning team, Possum Magic. Carson Wentz, despite throwing some horrendous interceptions, costing his team that game, I'm fairly certain. He goes for 45.5 points. Your 3 receivers, Scary Terry, Adam Thielen, and Diggs, only 6.5 points for McLaurin. Some of those came from a rushing attempt I see there. Thielen ends up being your best performer. He goes for 19.8. and Diggs with an even 15 points. Your running backs, Mixon and Damian Harris from New England there. Mixon goes for 25. Looks like a rushing and a receiving touchdown for him this week. Kind of back to business as usual for when Mixon whenever he's healthy. And Harris gets you 80 yards and a touchdown and even 14 points. Tight end Higbee goes for 5.5. Chubb in the flex, tough matchup against the Steelers. He gets you just under 8 points. Kicker Koo from the Falcons there, he gets you about 10 or so. And then San Francisco's defense gets the job done in Chicago. Couple sacks, turnover. I think they gave up a lot of points. They didn't do great on yardage. Yahoo says 10. What I hate about doing this on Monday night is that any score corrections don't show up in the matchup. Like I have to go back to the main page here to see what your score is. 168. So you got about a 9-point bump there. So San Francisco's defense must have had 19. As for CMC, Kyler Murray, Thursday night game against Green Bay, kind of a low total for him, kind of disappointing there. No touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Definitely a factor in this matchup. He only got you 31.8. Mike Evans, 12.8. Mooney, 12.4. You picked up and play, or did you? Yeah, I think after your trade, you picked up, you must have had a, did you have a, no, because you gave up 2 people. Oh, you got Will Fuller and put him in IR there. You picked up Raymond, wide receiver from the Detroit Lions there, who's actually had some productive weeks the past couple weeks. Plugged him in, and he got you a donut. Some last-minute plug-and-plays this week, getting people zeros. James Conner and Hubbard, Shuba Hubba. Let's see, Conner, he only gets 22 yards, but he scores 2 touchdowns, so he gets you 14.2. Hubbard, almost exactly 14.1, with a touchdown and some yards there, 1 catch, lost a fumble. Tight end, Tunyon, he got you just under 8 points before, unfortunately, tearing his ACL this week. He is going to be done for the year, and which is what I believe led you later on in the week to traded Javonte Williams, the rookie running back from Denver, to Kevin Bean, Dubsy Hooligans, and got Godert to use as your tight end going forward there. Even though you got Ricky Seals-Jones, he only went for 3 points this week. Let's see. Since no Williams, you plugged in Gainwell from Philadelphia. Even though Philadelphia scored 44 points this week and got 4 touchdowns from their running backs, Gainwell only got you 2.7. No receiving stats, no nothing from him, no touchdowns, unfortunately. 2.7. Disappointing performance there. I'm sure you were certainly expecting more out of that one. Your kicker and your defense, Los Angeles Rams. Matt Gay gets you about 7.5. And then the Rams defense, they got you, let's see, Yahoo says 11. You're bumped up to 126. So from 113, so about 12 points. They must have gotten you about 23. So yeah, in this matchup, so what was the difference? About a 40-point difference there. 42. Let's take a look at CMC, see if there's anything else he could have done differently. Said Raymond getting that 0 definitely hurt you. So you had Tim Patrick on the bench there. Kind of, you've used him several times this year. Kind of surprised you didn't plug him in. Tunyon said he got hurt. Gainwell, just a disappointing performance there. And Kyler Murray only getting you 31 points this week. Possum Magic didn't have anybody that could have really changed the outcome here. He doesn't have any Cardinals receivers or anything like that would have made a difference. if Kyler Murray had done better. But yeah, those 42 points. I mean, you think you could get 20, half of that from Kyler Murray, and then hope for the rest there. Again, every matchup was winnable this week, but yeah, just again, everybody underperformed, and unfortunately for CMC, his luck ran out this week, and Possum Magic gets the win. He's going to move to 5-3, while CMC Music Factory will drop to 500 at 4-4. All right, and then let's see. This matchup was already done, even though the Dub C Hooligans have Travis Kelce currently going tonight. He was down, you were down what, like 20 going into Sunday night. Saquon and 8 so was finished, and so you still had Amari Cooper and Travis Kelce left to go. So yeah, you definitely still, and you had Zerline, the Dallas kicker for the Dub C Hooligans. I think you were down 25, 26-ish actually. And Amari Cooper was able to actually, between him and Zerline, they were able to cover the difference there before Monday night was even started. So before Sunday was over, they got you ahead. You didn't have to worry about Kelce on Monday night there. Looks like that game is now over. So all of these matchups are final. All right, and Dub C Hooligans squeaks out another victory over Saquon It Ain't So, who not only loses another heartbreaker, he loses Derrick Henry for probably the rest of the season because, well, we'll get into that when we get to final score here. Looks like it's going to be, so I don't trust that, 137.55 to 128.9. So yeah, 137 points, enough to get a victory this week. For the Dub C Hooligans, Jalen Hurts goes for only 21.25. Your receivers, Patterson, Cooper, and Crowder, 18, 26, and 16.5, respectively. Eli Mitchell goes for 22.5, a little over 100 yards and a touchdown from him. You had to play Samaje Perine from Cincinnati. 3.5 points from him. It looks like you have a lot of people on bye. A lot of you got 2 running backs on IR currently. Really not much going on, so you kind of just had to play whatever you had. Fortunately, didn't make a difference here. Kelce only got you 4.5 points. A newly acquired Javonte Williams in the flex there, he got you 6.8. Zerline gets you about 7.5. And then the Falcons defense, they got you, I think that might have been correct. Yahoo's score is 9. Oh, wow. Just looking at this lineup for Saquon, it ain't so. In defeat here, first of all, you had to play Aaron Rodgers on Thursday night there because Dak was questionable with his injury right before the bye week. He had 2 weeks to rest up, but they still decided to. Ended up being the right decision for you there, because I'm not sure what you would have done if I guess you could have picked up Cooper Rush and actually played him. You probably would have won this matchup actually if you had ridden it out till Sunday night and picked up and played Cooper Rush. But I mean, that was looking forward into that. That was a bit of a scary proposition there. Probably seemed safer to go with Aaron Rodgers there. He got you 39.5 points. Fairly respectable score, but it wasn't quite enough here. Tyler Lockett bounces back in a big way. 12 catches, 142 yards, 26.2. But that was about the only bright spot on your lineup here. Saquon, 8.5 points from Christian Kirk. Emmanuel Sanders surprisingly goes for 0. Derrick Henry and Darrell Henderson, Henry and the Hendersons here. This is the big one for this week. the big news that Derrick Henry going to be gone from Saquon. Not only did he lose again in a heartbreaker, you are going to be without Derrick Henry for the rest of the season because he is having foot surgery. He broke a bone in his foot there. They put him on IR. They're thinking minimum 8-week recovery, which would put us basically, the earliest he's probably coming back is the semifinals. Maybe he'll be back for the Tonto Bowl. He'll probably be back for the NFL playoffs, which I'm sure is what the Tennessee Titans are much more interested in right now than the fantasy playoffs, assuming they're able to hold on and make the playoffs. Certainly no guarantee at this point. We'll see how they do without Henry. Julio has basically been a non-factor so far this year, so we'll see if Tennessee is able to hold on, get into the playoffs, and then get Derrick Henry back whenever they need him most. So we'll see. But sorry, Jay. Again, unfortunately, you have lost Derrick Henry. He got you 6.8 points, and now he is going to be on the sideline for the rest of the year for you. So yeah, it's going to be a difficult, tough sledding going forward here to try and climb back up to a playoff positioning there for Saquon. It ain't so going forward. Henderson got you 22.5 points, a rushing touchdown, a receiving touchdown. Continues to be a productive running back, good keeper decision there for you. Kyle Pitts goes for only 3.3. So you lost this matchup by less than 9 points. Pitts only 3.3. Chenault, Freiermuth in the bench there. You're not going to start Freiermuth over Kyle Pitts. Although if you had put Freiermuth in the flex there over Chenault, you would have won this matchup. Chenault only got you 4.1. Freiermuth would have gotten 10 more points than him, and that would have made this one go the other way. Kicker, McPherson from Cincinnati gets you about 6.5. And then the Colts defense, they lost the game. I think Yahoo might have been right here, or you either got 9 or 12. I'm going to say I think 12 from the Colts defense there. But yeah, fortunately for Dubsy Hooligans, he said Amari Cooper was able to put up enough points here on Sunday night to have the victory wrapped up already. Because again, Travis Kelce only went for 4.7 in this matchup. So Jay, what can we say? Sanders getting that 0, Henry going out, Pitts only 3 points. Just things not going your way this week. And unfortunately, the Dubsy Hooligans are going to move up to 4-4, while the Saquon, it ain't so, is going to drop to 3-5. All right. So that all the matchups are over now, so we can actually do Hillbillies on PCP versus Disco. Hillbillies 1-6, Disco 5-2, second place versus 12th place. Hillbillies trying to cling on to any glimmer of hope they can for the season going forward, and able to do it this week, upsetting Disco, 12th place. The Hillbillies avoid dropping to 1-7 and being basically out, because the best you could have done going forward was a 500 record. So yeah, will this be the beginning of the resurrection of Hillbillies on PCP? Taking it all the way to the brink before climbing back? We shall see. Hillbillies 179.15, getting the victory over Disco 151.65. Going into Monday night, Hillbillies had an almost exactly 100-point lead, which I think is what he said in the podcast he was going to need to feel comfortable about this matchup going into Monday night. And he ends up, let's see, so Patrick Mahomes and Tyreek Hill, those two are certainly able of combining for 100 points together. Tyreek could pop off for 40 points and Mahomes for 60 at any time. So you needed 60 from Mahomes. He got you 44.5. And you needed 40 from Tyreek. He got you 27.5. So kind of a lower scoring game. If the game had gotten a little bit more out of control, a little bit more offense in this game, Mahomes was still under 300 yards passing. Let's see. Tyreek was his only touchdown pass, I should say. That connection there. So, I mean, they certainly gave it a good try here, but it was not enough, unfortunately, for Disco. For Hillbillies, Joe Burrow goes for 42.85. Debo goes for another 26 points. Randall Cobb picked him up and played him on Thursday night. Only 3 catches, only 15 yards, but much like James Conner, he makes up for it with touchdowns in that game. 2 of them, he gets you 16.5. You picked up and played Russell Gage whenever they announced no Calvin Ridley, and that ended up being a waste of time and space and moves because Gage ended up getting you 0. Beasley or Boyd both scored 21 points, would have been much better plays, and actually you would have cracked, you would have just barely missed cracking 200 points this week if you would have played Beasley, which I think you had until the very last minute in your lineup, and then you benched Tyler Boyd because you got sick of him. He scores 20 points, which is that's usually what happens when you get sick of somebody and you bench them, and then they pop off, and then you're like, why did they put him on the bench? Then you're going to put him back in the starting lineup next week, and he's going to get you 5 or 6 points. That's usually how it goes, I think, right? Anyway, your running backs, Kamara and Harris, 16.5, 21 points even for Harris. Zach Ertz and Hawkinson, 2 tight ends, 1 in tight end, 1 in the flex there. 8.2 for Ertz, 10, just under 19 for Hawkinson on 10 catches there. Probably would have liked to see a touchdown or 2, maybe. Excuse me. A little bit more yardage from him, considering most of the game was garbage time there. Said he had 10 catches, but only 89 yards there. McLaughlin, the Cleveland Browns kicker, gets you about 4.5. And then the Steelers defense, Yahoo says 13. Must have been about 25, actually, I'm going to guess, from the Steelers defense there. So pretty decent scores. So that 0, fortunately, that 0 ended up not hurting you this week, kind of catching a break there for Hillbillies. And Disco, he has Patrick Mahomes, said before, he needed 100 points between him and Tyreek. Mahomes gets you just about 45, while Tyreek in the flex there got you 27.5. Your 3 receivers, Mike Williams, Godwin, and returning from IR, Jerry Jeudy. 4 points for Williams, 28 for Godwin, but only 8 for Jeudy. Running backs, Jonathan Taylor, another good performance from him. He goes for 21.2. Kind of a quiet game, surprisingly, from Fournette in this one. Only 7.3. Couple catches, some rushing yards, no touchdowns or anything. 7.3. No Waller this week. You had Gerald Everett in there. Another quiet game from him. Only 1.2, thanks to -5 rushing yards for Gerald Everett. So Tyreek in the flex, 27.5. Your kicker, Prater from Arizona, only PATs from him also this week, 3. And then you picked up and played the Chargers defense against New England. Yahoo says 7. I believe that was actually the correct score because we didn't really change anything for Disco this week. You did me some favors this week. Your kicker only kicked extra points, so I didn't have to worry about field goals. And your defense scored exactly what Yahoo said. So it worked out nice for me this week. Thank you, Disco. But unfortunately, you are going to lose this week. You're going to drop to 5-3. I think you'll probably still be in second place, but Yinzer Jags is going to pull ahead from the pack. He's going to be at least 2 games ahead of everybody after this week. But Hillbilly's on PCP, avoids dropping to 1-7. He is now 2-6. I believe he's still going to be in 12th place, but at least he's looking up with anticipation and maybe some expectation instead of looking up in how about he's looking up optimistically and not pessimistically, at least for the time being here. So yeah, we will see what the standings are here, or what it's going to look like once we finish all the matchups. All right, this one was already done. Going into Monday night, Biscuits and Porn getting the victory over Ed Lager, 158.45 for Biscuits to only 117.05 for Ed Lager. Taking a look at Ed Lager, only 117. Did your bench do anything differently that you could have done? Not really. Don't really see anything that stands out as changes obvious changes you would have made. You didn't have Lamar Jackson. He was on his bye this week. Saquon still out. So yeah, really not much you could have done differently. Biscuits and Porn, let's take a look at what he did. Tom Brady goes for, despite throwing that pick six, he had 4 touchdowns, 375 yards, just under 58 points from him this week. So basically 100 points from the rest of your team there. Let's see, your receivers, Devontae Smith, Chase Claypool, CeeDee Lamb. Only 2.5 points from Smith on 1 catch. Claypool, 10.1, and CeeDee Lamb, 17.2. Aaron Jones goes for an even 24. Zeke goes for 11.3. Tight end, Jared Cook, 4.5. Van Jefferson in the flex, 11.8. Kicker Crosby from Green Bay gets you about 5.5. And then it's probably a surprising matchup here. You went with, instead of New England's defense, who you got on the bench, you went with Cincinnati's defense at the New York Jets, probably expecting a little bit better in this one. Fortunately, it did not cost you the matchup here, because this one ended up being a shootout. Even though Cincinnati's defense had 3 turnovers, a couple sacks there, I think we only bumped you up about 3 points from what Yahoo says. So they got 14 points, gave up a ton of points, a ton of yards. Basically, all your points came from the turnovers and stuff there, and they lost. They ended up losing the game, so you lost 3 points for that. But yeah, except unfortunately for Biscuits, it did not cost him a victory this week, as Ed Lager goes for only 117. Teddy Bridgewater goes for 33.75. Your 3 receivers, Brandon Cooks, Keenan Allen, and T.Y. Hilton, 20.3 for Cooks, 19.7 for Keenan, only 3.5 for T.Y. Kind of a questionable play there. He just coming back from injury, I think, has barely played, and now he is back injured again. He is just not the same as he was 5 years ago. No, are any of us though? But he certainly is not. I still would have played. Maybe you hate Allen Robinson at this point, but I still probably would have played him over just about anyone over T.Y. Hilton at this point in his career. Your running backs, surprisingly quiet games from these guys. Swift, even though they got blown out, he's usually a PPR machine. He only had 5 catches. He only got you 8.1. Basically the same thing from Antonio Gibson at Denver, 8.5. Noah Fant, only 2.8, surprisingly there. Only 2 catches for 8 yards. Running back Herbert from the Bears he was doing pretty well, yardage-wise. Probably would have liked him to punch in a touchdown or something here at home against San Francisco. Yardage isn't bad, but he wasn't able to do too much else. He got you 8.8. Bass, your kicker from Buffalo, got you about, let's see, 11 and a half-ish. And then you also had the Bears defense there. I think you're only, Yahoo says 0. I want to say that was correct because it looks like we only bumped you. Looks like your only bump from Yahoo's score is fractional points from your kicker. I'm gonna think. So yeah, the on and off Bears defense. Unfortunately for you, were off this week, and they got you 0 points. Yeah, pretty much all single-digit scores. Only 33 from your quarterback. Cooks and Allen tried their best, but it was not enough this week. Only 117 for Ed Lager here. So with this victory, Biscuits and Porn, he's going to move up to 5-3, and Ed Lager is going to drop to 3-5. All right, what else do we have left? So that means Disco, Biscuits, and Possum Magic. All of you are going to be 5-3, while the final matchup here is Yinzer Jags getting the victory over Gags. So he's going to be 7-1. 3 teams are going to be 5-3. All right, let's wrap up the final matchup here. Yinzer Jags versus Gags to Riches. Yinzer Jags gets the victory this week, 181.45 to 148.55. All right, yeah. Now that the Monday night game is over, I guess as soon as that game ended, Yahoo was basically putting in the adjusted scores here in the matchups here, making it a little bit easier on me. For Yinzer Jags, Josh Allen goes for just under 61 points, really carrying the load for you this week. DJ Moore, Cortland Sutton, and plug-and-play Traquan Smith, last second there with said Calvin Ridley going on sabbatical, I guess. That's what, I don't know. DJ Moore gets you 10, Sutton gets you 6, and fortunately Smith came in and didn't do too much, but he did score a touchdown, 12.3. Running backs, Eckler and Booker, 24.5, 17.5 respectively, doing most of their damage in the air. Eckler scoring a touchdown, both guys going for 5 or 6 catches each. Uzuma, quiet game this one, 7.3. Hopkins in the flex down there, only 8.5 points from him. McManus and the Denver defense combination, kicker and defense from Denver. McManus gets you about 5.5. And then Denver defense actually did pretty good. Ended up being a better play than Tampa Bay's defense. 2 blocked kicks. That doesn't happen very often. A couple turnovers. Only 10 points allowed. Yahoo says 23. Looks like we bumped you up about 6 or maybe 9. That would take you to... No, that would be too much. I'm going to say 6 from Denver, so 29 or so from Denver's defense. So 29, it's about approximately 30 from Josh Allen, and so about 90, I should say, from Josh Allen and the Denver defense there. 90, that's half of your score. The rest of the guys kind of showing up, doing okay. Eckler and Booker carrying the load there. Enough to get past from Gags to Riches. Both of you guys actually had players going here on Monday night, but Yinzer Jags had about a 30-point lead, I think, going into it, and he still had Booker left to play, while Gags played Kadarius Toney, the Giants wide receiver, and he had Butker, the Chiefs kicker. I got to check and see Gags is the only team I think I got to adjust yet. The field goal kicker, fractional points there. So his score, 148.55, not quite correct. I'll have to bump that up a little bit whenever I'm finished here. But for Gags, he has Matt Ryan go for 25.5. DK Metcalf, 2 touchdowns, 22.3. A.J. Brown, 10 catches, over 150 yards and a touchdown. 34.5 points from him. Unfortunately, not looking so good the rest of the way down here. As said, Yinzer Jags had about a 30-point cushion with Booker, but you had two players there. And Booker, basically with his score, bumped that up to about 47. And your guys were only able to get about 16 or 17. So it basically stayed right around that 30 points that you needed. All right, where were we? Tony, only 8.5 points from him. Most of that came from a 26-yard completed pass. Interestingly enough, he had 26 receiving yards. I'm not sure how many yards his pass was. Let's see if it says here real quick. He had a 19-yard completion there. So that was 2 points for you. Running backs, James Robinson and Zach Moss. Robinson gets hurt fairly early in this game, too, I think. Didn't come back. He only got you 5 points. Zach Moss got you just under 12. You played Gronk because he was back this week. Kind of a surprise. You had Mo Alley Cox on your bench there. But you got Gronk. How can you not play Gronk? But I guess he went out with some, it said, back spasms. Tampa Bay's on bye next week, so I really don't know why they didn't just let him sit this week and recover from his previous injuries and be ready to go after that. So he ended up getting a 0 because he went out fairly early in this game. But unfortunately, it wouldn't have made a difference because Mo Alley Cox, MAC, he actually scored 0 as well. So there was a no-win situation for you here this week. Gags, either tight end was going to get you a donut. Recently acquired Waddle from the Dolphins there. Goes for 7 points. Butker, I'm going to guess about 9. I'll have to check and see what that is here and adjust your score when I'm done here. And then Buffalo defense, excuse me, Yahoo says 14. Looks like we must have bumped you up about 12, so about 26 for the Buffalo defense. So barely getting over 50 from your quarterback. Your quarterback and your defense was less than Detling got just from his quarterback. Not a recipe for success more often than not. So even though A.J. Brown and DK Metcalf, much like Eckler and Booker, tried to carry the load for you, the rest of the guys didn't show up this week, and you were not able to get a victory. And this will move Yinzer Jags further ahead in first place. He will stay at 7-1. Everybody else will be at least 5-3 behind him. While from Gags to Riches, he will drop to 3-5. All right, so those are all the matchups. We got Shawshank, we got Possum. Yeah, we got Hillbillies, Saquon, Biscuits, and Ed. We got Gags. All right. That's everybody. Knockout pool this week is Saquon. It ain't so, unfortunately, for you. Everybody else was able to get enough points on Monday night. Disco, so he only had 79 points going into Monday night, but he was able to get enough and said, Saquon, you are going to be the one eliminated from the knockout pool this week. Taking a look at the standings. Quite an interesting one this week because going into this week, the 3 teams at the bottom of the standings all got victories. 3 of the 4 teams at the top of the standings, Yinzer Jags, Biscuits, and Possum all got victories. Everybody else, everybody in the middle, and you can't see it here, but I'm like circling the group of teams here on my screen here. Everybody else, all these teams in the middle, everybody lost. CMC lost. Shawshank lost. Saquon lost. Gags to Riches lost. Ed Logger lost. That's 5 teams. So everyone in the middle lost. The teams at the bottom won. And so that is just said. Detling's going to pull ahead. Disco's going to drop back a little bit. And everybody... the standings are going to be even more muddled than they were before, because we're going to have one team, Yinzer Jags at 7-1. 5-3 teams going to be Disco, Biscuits, and Possum Magic. All those three teams are going to be 5-3. Right on their heels, we're going to have CMC Music Factory, Springfield Isotopes, and Dub C Hooligans, all at 4-4. Right behind them. Actually, the Topes and the Hooligans. Actually, maybe not the Hooligans. Looking at Justin's, your scores are basically pretty close to each other. Yeah. The Topes are actually going to jump from 10-5. Excuse me. After this week, let's see. Yeah, they'll be the highest scoring 4-4 team after this week. Then CMC will be 6, and Dub C will jump from 11-7. And then all these teams are going to be 3-5. Shawshank, Saquon, Gags, Ed. Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4 teams are going to be 3-5. Hillbillies still going to be 2-6 down there at the bottom, but Topes and Hooligans are going to leapfrog Ed, Gags, Jay, Josh, and Topes will jump by Justin. Justin will still be ahead of Bean there. So yeah, but that said, those guys are only going to be one game behind second place here. All these low scores, so kind of nobody really pulling away in terms of point totals this week. Just for my position, definitely needed this one. This high scoring performance to kind of climb back in there, maybe gain some ground, a little bit of ground on some of you guys there going forward. So yeah, the point is the middle is going to be an interesting mess. And next week, just taking a quick peek at week 9, we've got, this should be interesting, Isotopes versus the Dub C Hooligans. Both teams getting a win this week, climbing themselves back to 500, and now they're going up against each other. So one of them's going to get knocked back, one of them's going to get win number 5. Every win is gold in this week. We're already heading into week 9, so we've got 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Only 6 weeks left in the already. Only 6 weeks left in the regular season. Going to be 4-4. Basically, you got to get. I keep saying that you got to get to 8, but as the way we're just wait. We're going to have to just kind of wait and see how this extra game in the regular season shakes out, makes the playoffs standings shake out. I assume there's going to be 7. So 8 is probably the magic number to guarantee yourself a playoff spot, but 7-7 now is probably going to be enough for at least 1 or 2 teams. Instead just being 500. But if you look at, say, Dub C Hooligans and the Topes both sitting there at 4-4 with 6 weeks left to go, you basically have to win 4 out of 6 going forward. And I mean, both of those guys jumped up to both of those teams jumped up after this week to being either in the playoffs or right on the cusp of the playoffs. So just being at 500, 4-4. So yeah, just the thought of it's not winning 4 out of 6 games in this league at any point against anybody is not easy to do going forward. So we'll see how the matchups play out going forward. That's probably going to have a lot to do in determining what teams are those teams that are like all those teams muddled in the middle there, who is going to break out of the pack and who is going to sink to the bottom there. These matchups are going to be real important going forward. So I said next week we're going to have Dub C versus the Isotopes, and both of those teams just climbed back to 500. One of them is going to get knocked back down. Should be a fun one to watch. Shawshank versus CMC. Shawshank looking to bounce back. He's now 3-5. He wants to avoid going to 3-6 and being in a pretty tough spot. Even though on paper his team is probably one of the better ones in the league this year. CMC, let's see, he's now 4-4. Trying to his projection is way lower than Shawshank currently, so we'll see what happens there. This is going to be one that Shawshank probably really needs. Another good one here. Yinzer Jags versus Disco. I'm guessing Disco is still going to be in second place after this week. Let's see. You were 12 points ahead of Biscuits, and he gained about 7 points. So yeah, you're just going to Disco will just barely be still in second place behind or in front of Biscuits there. So 1 versus 2 this week will be a good one to watch. Bye weeks are going to be a little bit of an issue here for some people, I think, keeping the projections down. Speaking of projections down, Gags versus Ed Logger coming up. Both of you guys now are 3-5. One of you will definitely be dropping to 3-6. And the projections are currently 132 for Gags and only 113 for Ed. Excuse me. I'm going to assume that Ed still has Lamar Jackson on the bench there in his roster. Just they haven't updated that stuff yet for next week. Hillbillies versus Possum. So Hillbillies trying to keep hope alive. Currently, Yahoo has him projected to win by 20 over Possum Magic, who's going to be 5-3, hoping to maybe put either the next to last nail in Hillbillies' coffin this week, but said Hillbillies is actually projected to win this one by a pretty comfortable margin, so we will see how that goes. And then we got the reeling Saquon It Ain't So going up against Biscuits and Porn. Biscuits, I think I said Tom Brady, all your Buccaneers are on bye this week, so you're going to have to throw in a kind of scratch. Both of you guys are going to be scratching together a lineup this week coming up for Saquon. Good news is you should have Dak coming back for you this week. We will see what happens in the free agency market. The Titans, I believe they did sign Adrian Peterson. They've also got, I think McNichols is the guy's name. Their running back, the backup, who was their current guy. He's already been on the team. I would imagine he will get plenty of opportunities, and they will use Adrian Peterson more as like a short yardage guy, run between the tackles guy. Very similar to how they use Derrick Henry. Not so much in the passing game, but hoping he's able to just come in and get bulldoze some people for yards here and there. You're not going to get anything like Derrick Henry from anybody because there's only one Derrick Henry. But yeah, we're going to see what happens. Jay, also good news. You currently have your entire waiver budget, $200. So get ready to maybe I assume you're going to have to open your wallet this week and maybe make a play for one of those guys with a big bid. Everybody else is either under 100. Like half the other people are under 100, or else there's a couple people who are. So everyone else is either at under 100 or right around 150 there. But Jay has 200. All his fabs still left to go. So we will see. Maybe Gags will once again splurge all his money on Adrian Peterson. It'd be fun. Gags has $85, so you'll need to bid at least 86 to get Adrian Peterson. I'm assuming. So yeah, after this week, we're gonna have everybody still kind of said Detling kind of pulled away a little bit. 2 games. It's gonna be 2 games up on everyone. But, yeah, everyone from the bottom won. Everyone in the middle lost. So things are going to get even more messy. And as we go forward here, these next few weeks, once again, every win is going to be gold. Any one you can get, no matter how ugly it is on paper, a win is a win. And any one you can get, take it. Because all you got to do is get into the playoffs. Doesn't matter how or who or how. You just get there. And a chip in a chair, all you need, you get in there, and anything can happen. Like we usually say, we were getting into it like a little bit last year. That let's see. Surprisingly, I just got piles of crap here on my desk. Yeah. Just a quick summary. The number 1 seed and number 2 seed. In the last 10 years, obviously, number 1 seed was the Topes last year, and they ended up going all the way. That was only the 5th time. Between 2010 and 2020, 5 times the number 1 seed has gone to the Tonto Bowl. They are 3-2 in those 5 matchups. The number 2 seed has gone to the Tonto Bowl. I don't know what seed Gags was last year. I want to say 3. But the number 2 seed has gone to the Tonto Bowl 6 times. They are 1-5. The 5 seed and the 6 seed go to the Tonto Bowl quite often. So, making it to one of the bye weeks is no guarantee of anything, as we learned pretty much every year. Either the 1 or 2 seed goes bye week and out, which I don't know. It seemed like, if I want to remember correctly, there was a lot of confusion about that last year with the Romo jersey, and the guys in the podcast talking about like who deserves the Romo jersey. They wanted to say that it was Disco, but no, it's who does really good in the season, but then which is most often going to be either the 1 or 2 seed, which means you had a really good regular season and then crashes and burns in the playoffs. And like I said, according to my record sheet here, it's still accurate because I think Detling went bye week and out last year. From 2010 forward to current, the only time that we only had one time where the Tonto Bowl was the 1 seed versus the 2 seed. So only once. So that means every year, at least one of those guys, the 1 seed or the 2 seed, goes bye week and out, which I wholeheartedly believe that is what gets you the Romo jersey. And I just want to Detling, you're setting yourself up so far pretty good here for that Romo jersey again this season, I want to say. So we will see what happens. All right, I think that's plenty enough for week 8. So I'm still looking at the matchups there for week 9. So yeah. All right, getting us in. Monday night game's over, just around midnight. Time to finish this up and upload it. All right, another great week. So what am I saying? This wasn't a great week. This week was boring. Unfortunately, Jay, sorry, you've lost Derrick Henry. Going to be a difficult hole to fill in your roster there. We'll see what you can do. So you got your whole fab budget to work with. But yeah, nobody is Derrick Henry. And just unfortunate circumstances. Don't wish it on anyone. And also that put you out of the knockout pool this week. Which means, let me take a look at my notes. Teams still in the knockout pool. So we are eight teams are out, so only 4 people are left. Those 4 people, Josh, Detling, Gags, and Disco. Yeah, Gags has survived. Jay's out. Beanhead. Brian's out. Jim's out. Tree's out. So yeah, the 4 teams left in the knockout pool. Yinzer Jags, Disco, Shawshank, and Gags to Riches there. So, all right, guys, that's it. Unfortunately, whoever gets to this point in the video, thank you for listening or watching or whatever it is you do. Unfortunately, the concert that I was supposed to go to tomorrow night has been pushed back once again. to sometime in December. Hopefully it finally happens. Been waiting since spring of 2020 for this concert. Was getting myself pretty hyped up. Haven't been this excited for something in a long time. Can't wait to see this band. But now I gotta wait another month or so. Hopefully it happens. It's rescheduled for someplace in Lawrenceville. Something Horse, I think it's called, or I'm not gonna. Well, maybe I will. Real quick, just peek in here to my Gmail real quick. Quicker. What's the name? What's the name of this place? Come on. All right. Thunderbird Cafe in Lawrenceville there on December 13th. Well, fortunately, they were kind enough to make that a Monday, so I won't need to take a day off of work. If anybody, I don't know if anybody, any of you got Pittsburgh guys have been to the Thunderbird Cafe before, cafe and music hall, let me know what it's like. If you've been there before, looking forward to that. Again, bummed that that's not going to happen. Anyway, so yeah, that means on that Monday, whatever that is, December 13, that would be probably as we head into the playoffs. What day would that be? All right, that would be actually the very end of week 14, the last day of the regular season for us, week 14. Let's see what the Monday night game is. Ooh, Rams versus Cardinals. So, yeah, I'm going to be at that show. While my Rams are going to be, my Stafford and Robert Woods are going to be playing possibly for my season against CMC Music Factory and his Kyler Murray and James Conner. So and Chase Edmonds. So there's going to be and his Rams kicker and his Rams defense. So oh my gosh, week 14. I'm going to be at this concert while my season is going to be on the line in fantasy. Oh man, that's going to be brutal. Hopefully, I'm sure the show is going to be worth it. But oh gosh, geez. All right. Something to look forward to, I guess. Oh, man. I mean, there's no way that matchup's going to be decided with both of our quarterbacks not playing till Monday night. Oh, geez. A lot of our guys not playing till Monday night that week. Yikes. That is going to be... oh, you're sweating that one out. Whew, I shouldn't have looked forward to see what was going on and worried about it later. But anyway... All right, guys, thanks for listening or watching or whatever it is you do. We will see you back here again next week to recap the events of hopefully a little bit more exciting events of Week 9. Hopefully everyone's teams and their players meet or exceed expectations. No more injuries. Sorry, Jay. Can't say it enough. You lost Dak last year. You lose Henry this year. After already being dealt some difficult defeats, and now Henry is taken away from you. I'm sorry. What else can we say? Yeah. So guys, we will see you back here for whatever happens in week 9. Thanks again, and bye-bye. What's going on here? All right, bye-bye.